Right, we've tried to pick out some of the highlights of the year, or actually what happened in 2014. If you've got a memory from 2014, do tweet us in. But to give us sort of, certainly my mind as it goes on forgets a lot of things, let's go over to Rachel, who's going to highlight a couple of things that happened in January.
Yeah, St Nicholas Abbey, hugely popular racehorse. He died aged 7. Also, Damien Oliver celebrated the Melbourne Cup victory aboard Vioretta. Mucho Macho Man, his dam sold for $775,000 at Keeneland. A low-key runner at Kempton sealed an incredible 4-pronged gamble involving horses previously associated with legendary punter Barney Curley on a run-of-the-mill Wednesday to leave bookmakers facing a payout beyond £2 million. And finally, 3-time champion jump jockey Terry Biddlecombe, the husband of former trainer Henrietta Knight, died aged 72 after a lengthy illness.
OK, so that was all the main stories.
Oh, I remember that Barney gamble well.
Yeah.
That was good fun. I think I
Good
got...
fun?
Yeah, we are, yeah, just once every 4 years.
I think I went into
Was you on it?
I think
I'll
I
tell you an
went...
interesting story very quickly, because I obviously we cottoned onto it the night before on social media. And, you know, one or two people had taken big prices on it. So I thought, well, this is how bad my luck is, by the way. I cottoned onto it, went in the local shop, which I won't name the brand, and actually they did price up 2 of the horses, but there were 4 to 6 and 4 to 7. And I put it in the sort of all these little bets that I did, and I could only get a £10 accumulator on them. And the one biggest price was 7 Summits, I think it was 9 to 4 or something, and that was the one that they were giving a price on, I think. There was 2 they were, 2 they weren't. And I only got about £110 back from me £10, but that's all I could get on.
Oh, well,
but at least I got a tenner on.
Yeah, but come on, you know, you're not Barney, are you? He was shrewd. He was on odds checker the nights before and cleaned up.
Well, people on Twitter the night before going, well, this could be a potential gamble.
Trouble is,
yeah,
he's going to have to cover his tracks better next time if he has another go, because, like I say, there's so many people out there, the resources we've all got at home, we can sit there and go, oh, that used to be trained by so-and-so, and people did put 2 and 2 together and got 5, and they turned out to be right.
But how much did they get on? I mean, the industry didn't unravel, did it? I mean, Jeff Banks said he'd have to forsake his pudding that evening in the restaurant. You know, it wasn't a big... Great for Barney.
$2 million on a Wednesday, though, Billy? You know, I think it's not a bad poke in the eye.
Anyone watching this at home and you think, oh, well, so what, someone's had a gamble back for you horses, the planning that goes behind it, you know, the amount of people he must trust, you know, only, you know, a few hundred people in the know, you know, he must have taken all their mobile phones.
Good for racing though, Matt?
I think we've got a choice. I don't look at lower grade racing, I look at high grade racing, so I understand people's frustrating. That's one reason I don't look at low grade racing, because I think sometimes, you know, there is, obviously prize money is very low, and I think sometimes that the only way to make owners of money is to perhaps gamble, and when that's a kind of issue, then sometimes it's very difficult to be playing on a level playing field, where I much prefer graded racing, where we've got owners and we've got lots of other people.
They're going to gamble. If you double the prize money, is Barney Curley not going to gamble? It's not going to make any difference.
Well, we worked it out afterwards, because we spent a bit of time. I think we've done a programme on the feature, and there's only one other horse I think you could have done it with. You know, there was only 5 horses that could have been done.
Well,
obviously, 7 Summits was... Allegedly, we must say, because obviously some trainers were involved that say they didn't even know that happened.
It's got to go through the form book miles before. The horses then have to obviously get to a certain level to be entered, and they've got to be handicapped really well. I mean, if you go back through the Formula 1 Tom Queally rode to the 4th victory, I remember thinking, well, there was form in the book. It's just a case of obviously the trainer had to spend that time.
What gets me is how a horse can go down so much in the handicap. Now, when I'm studying jump racing, I think, well, that's pulled up, that's finished last, it's finished 11th. Oh, let's see what the weight is. Oh, it's gone down £3. Yeah, on the flat, these particular horses were rated 100. One of them was rated 103.
Yeah.
Went down to
from
57.
Germany, though.
Yes.
So when they come in from Germany, the handicapper probably has a look and thinks, well, maybe I got that wrong. Maybe I've read the German form wrong. So maybe he drops it a little bit quicker because he thinks he might have misread things.
Yeah, these people behind these are serious form students. They know where to enter the horses, how to enter them in the most quick and effective way to get them down the handicap. And this is it. There's a lot of money involved in doing that. You don't come down the handicap in one run. These horses have had a lot of run. There's a lot of jockeys being paid. There's a lot of travelling. There's a lot of training fees. behind all of that, and to get it right on that day and ensure every horse is absolutely fit on the day.
To get all
You've just
four
got
in the
to-
horse
And
box.
just a couple of other things. Obviously, in relation to Terry Biddicombe, we had Richard Pittman on the phone, that member of the Bet Racing Nation back in January. Achieved so much as a jump jockey, and Sir Nicholas Abbey as a racehorse. What a great horse that was.
Yeah, it was kind of a sad story, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah.
How they tried to keep him.
Really
keep him
battled, didn't
with
they?
us,
Really
yeah.
battled, and
Yeah.
it shows you how much the love and care is there. It's not just a financial aspect. You know, the whole yard was absolutely gutted, and
Yeah.
as was social media was awash with tributes
Okay,
for a horse.
from a racing betting point of view, you've noted
I got a little note on
Patrick
the
Stella, have
4th
you?
of, yeah, more or less. We sat here on the 4th of January, we did a Saturday show, and back in those days, before we were on Sky 212, we used to have 3-minute intervals. So
Yeah.
we used to, you wouldn't see it at home, but we used to get up, go and have a sandwich, a bit of a chat, check the Twitter, go to the loo, that kind of thing, didn't we? In the
Yeah.
3
Lay
minutes?
Billy's tips.
And I nipped out, and I've been thinking about back in Chivas on the all-weather at Lingfield, and in one of the intervals, I nipped out and back to 20-1. Ran back to the chair, we all appeared to be quite normal, and she bolted, well, she didn't bolt up, she went about her nose, but that's my first highlight for January.
So a Lingfield all-weather.
all-weather.
Don't
Right.
worry, I'm going to come to the rescue. Sire de Grugy winning the Clarence House at Ascot. I thought that was the real start when that horse started to come into
People
people's
started taking
minds.
notice, didn't
Yeah, and you know, people were going, oh, isn't it nice the Moors have picked up, I think, a Grade 2, or isn't it nice? And then every race it went afterwards, oh, isn't it nice that this horse has gone and picked up a good prize? And finally it got taken seriously later in the year.
Matt?
I took it seriously quite a lot. When he won at Chepstow first time, I had him rated that day to about 171. I took him very seriously from that first outing that he'd done. But I suppose Big Bucks coming back on his run, wasn't it? And he got turned over, and all the expectation, and then all the talk afterwards that he needed the run by a stone afterwards.
And Tristan Davis got absolutely slated for the run because it made it prominent. And what was the outsider name?
Knock and Blur.
Knock and Blur, yeah.
Oh, Nakara Bow.
Nakara
Oh,
Bow,
yeah.
sorry,
The
yeah.
one at 66 is,
Yeah,
didn't it, I think?
Richard Cross was
Yeah.
in second.
Oh, yeah, that form's not worked out, has it? Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
But you know, I was at Cheltenham that day, and poor old Sam, I can't remember who was going to ride it, and he just...
Darryl, wasn't it?
Darryl was, and I think Darryl kind of thought, oh, well, no, that's, you know...
Wasn't it the
Hiding
time?
to
Wasn't it the
nothing.
time
Yeah,
when Paul
outside.
Nichols may have decided?
That's when Daryl
Around that
Jacobs
time.
and Paul Nichols had a real prominent feature for the whole week and leading up to it, and it was he didn't feel Daryl wanted it. Daryl sort of said, "Well, I didn't necessarily say that,"
Yeah.
but and it was obviously possibly where cracks started forming in a friendship, which was a shame.
Okay, before we move on to February, any more all-weather Southall claimers sellers? that-
Well, they say I was off work and I was just doing this for a living. I made money on the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, and I had the informant. I was Southall, a handicap chaser, Seamus Mullins, so he might enjoy dropping back to 2 miles, and he won at 14-1. So.
There you go. If you can remember a horse that ran 14-1, trained by Seamus Mullins as a highlight of the year, it shows you what year you've had. Let's go over to Rachel, cover February, maybe some more treats as well.
Yeah, well, in February of this year, great-grandmother Geraldine Hughes wins £154,000 and 78. Yeah, you get the idea. On the Scoop 6. Review finds Al Zarini acted alone in the drug scandal, and Venetia Williams captured the Grand National Trial training Relax to victory.
Okay, well, that was February, and I was quite squeezed for highlights of February because it obviously came before March, and obviously the Scoop 6. I mean, we might as well just quickly mention that. Do you ever flat on the Scoop 6? Obviously, it went on again in the summer, didn't it? Because it brought in millions. Never had a
played
bit.
it. Never played it.
You did it a few times this year, didn't you?
Yeah, I was arranging
Got out
a
of the first
syndicate.
leg.
I was arranging a syndicate actually for a few of my friends that were in the same horse as me, and by the end of it, I think we had about 40 of us in it. So we were playing about 3 in each race.
I must say, when it was a few weeks in, I did get to the 4th leg.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I
was very proud of myself.
We got to the 3rd leg. We picked up, I think, 4 place lines on it as well, which basically gave us our money back until we had to keep playing it. And it was okay. I like it as an occasional bet. It's a bit like the Euro Millions. I'm not interested till it gets to a huge, silly figure.
Well, this is it. I mean, this amazes me. It's absolutely amazing when I say to someone like, you know, say Dad to go and buy, he might buy one lottery ticket or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's a rollover and all this money, and he comes back with kind of like 50 tickets, and I go, what are you doing? So he said, oh, it's a rollover. Oh, so £2 million wasn't enough. Now it is.
Yeah,
Not for me, Matt.
It's
Not for me.
agreed. Oh, I don't know.
It's a bit of fun. I mean, it's a shame it kind of goes to the syndicates most weeks. It's nice when it builds up, nice when you get a good winner. And I can remember me and Tom Marriott nipping out of here to do a few lines in the local shops down the road from here.
That's right.
And you got outdone by Grandma.
Totally lost in the first race. I think it went 20-1 winner. So.
Yeah, but it's good publicity for the
February
company.
was a good month. You said you can't remember too much. You had Irvine winning the Dovecote, and that was impressive, and everyone started talking about the horses.
Yeah, that's true.
Going to be going on to doing big things. Still might, I think that's a little bit harsh to rule it out. But Champion Hurdle for me is going to be a hot race. I can't see it. I wouldn't. Not for me.
It might conceivably only be a 5-6 runner affair. Champion Hurdle this year.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
No, there'll be a few. People throw a few pacemakers in there. There'll be a few surprises, I think.
Like, before we talk about, obviously, we're going to March in the next part, but February.
Hurdle, Splash of Ginge, my biggest win of the year, February. Great one, Splash of Ginge, 33 to 1.
You didn't do it because of Tom,
bigger
did
than
you?
that. No, I didn't do it because of
Picking
Tom.
on
He just had the
names.
perfect faith after the race, and he was going to pay for my Christmas over fences last week, and he tumbled, didn't he? 3 out.
Yeah.
So
I was at Newbury that day, and it was absolutely fantastic. The owners, and this is what owning racehorses is all about. You ought to see these lunatics. They're absolutely coming out, the scarves were waving, they were jumping up and down. It was a tremendous day, and it was a big prize, in reflection.
shame.
Looking
he
back.
was going to be in the
Oh,
third
yeah.
money, wasn't he? At least.
And obviously Venetia Williams. Sorry, what was you going to say?
No, as you say, I wish that my horse had been a bigger odds when it won in February as well. Ruby Walsh rode it to victory. Be Lucky again at Fairy House. It was 8 to 13 on. So
And you own part of that, don't you? Very
yeah,
quickly,
not anymore. She's now gone to retire, but we'll
okay.
mention her in April because there's a good news story there.
Okay, great stuff. And Venetia Williams, obviously, we said captured the national trial, didn't even run relax in the national, but she's always one to follow in those kind of months.
Those marathon chases, like in the mud where it's a ploughed field, absolutely Venetia Williams. If we've got time, very quick mention.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of time.
Patriotic, Southall. We were backstage for a Thursday show. me and Tom had a look. I went downstairs, had £70 on Patriotic at 7 to 1, and it
That was the
nice
time
to-
we had a bit of money then. When
I had a bit
you
of
first
money, I
started,
know,
you had a bit of
that
money,
was
and
my
by
best
being
10
here,
months
you
a year,
lost a lot of
January,
money.
February. Yeah, I had to go down to get my winnings from the shop, and the girl had to open the safe, and it was like, wow, they actually opened the safe for my winnings, and great day.
I know what that feels like, but I don't know what that feels like in the last couple of years. It's no better feeling when you go in the shop, you've had a bet, and they say, well, you're going to have to come back in half an hour. Or the best one still is, can you go to another shop?
Yeah.
That, you feel
Best one
privileged.
still,
I
see.
remember once I picked up a bet. This is the last time I won big in the King's Road, and they said, well, you can't do it, but they got it down at Putney. I thought, well, I'll get a cab down there, I don't care. That's the only time I don't mind going down to...
Surely you're much happier just sat there clicking the button on your smartphone, watching the balance refresh, and suddenly a few figures appear that weren't in the account before.
Feel the money.
Oh,
Feel the
no,
money.
You've got to feel
no.
the cash. You've got to feel...
There is something about it doesn't quite feel real until it's in cash.
No.
When you see numbers on the screen, sometimes I think, well, is that real or is it always a Monopoly we're playing?
Sam's
here?
in banking here, what you
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, numbers on the screen,
So very quickly, we're going to go March to the next part. So very quickly, when you win something then, and you say it's 194, do you 7 makes 187, and you calculate it, so you leave yourself a pot
Do you
to
know what
collect?
I do? Do you know
So
what
you go,
I do?
I'm going to make sure I bank 150.
I take a bit out, but do you know what I'll always do? If I've had a half decent win, I'll always throw something on a Cheltenham Festival Lucky 15, some really muggy bet, just in
Oh, do you?
case.
That's what you
Oh
do?
yeah, I usually have about 100 Lucky 15s running onto to the
Make sure it all
festival.
goes back.
Yeah. and 9 times out of 10, the runners in the Lucky 15s aren't even going to Cheltenham. Well, you got the races wrong. That's the worst thing about
Well, I always set my
anti-post
target. Say if I got 480, and I've never had this for a while now, but say I had 480, I would go, well, I'll go down to 400 and I'll bank the 400 and play with the 80. Do you
That's
tend to do that?
sensible.
I used to
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
half of my
Yeah.
balance out every month. Just take half the balance
I must
out
say,
every
two
month.
bookmakers actually banned me because I was doing that. But
Oh,
Yeah. No, they would. No, they will
Yeah.
do. But I think that's a good point. I think with your betting, when you're not going particularly well, keep it steady. But when you're in it, have a go.
Yeah,
Go after
absolutely.
the money, because when you're in bad form, oh dear, it's very hard to turn it
well,
around.
what was it, about 358 days so far this year? I only wanted one. But
once you get to January the 1st, it all
Yeah.
changes, Pete. New mindset for you.
Yeah, well, I'll be following Billy because all the all-weather action will be starting. Southall,
Oh, yeah.
Lingfield,
January, February, I was
Wolverhampton,
on
Kempton.
fire last year. On fire.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right, OK, that's January and February cover. We're going to take a very short break, and obviously March featured Cheltenham, and we will all have memories from Cheltenham. So we're going to be taking a look at that, plus the other news of March that Rachel will give. And don't forget, if you had a best moment of the year, do tweet us. If you had a biggest loser, tweet us. Or basically a memory from 2014, do get in touch. We're going to take a very short break, and then we'll look back at March 2014. See you after this.